Yeah, hi, I'm Ky Michaelson. I'm standing next to a piece of equipment that we were lucky to get back up here in Minneapolis. Dorica from the Stuntman's Hall of Fame donated this back to us. And there's quite a bit of history involved with this piece here. It started out in 1980 when I was working with Dar Robinson. At the time, Dar and I were working on a show called That's Incredible. And the producers of that show wanted to do a primetime ABC special, which was called The World's Most Spectacular Stuntman. So when the producers asked Dar what was the scariest thing he ever did, he said, I jumped off the CN Tower years ago in a film called High Point, and he was doubling for Christopher Plummer, and he jumped and he had a parachute that was built into his suit. Well, it barely came out on time, and in fact, if it was a couple seconds later, Dar would have been killed. So he said, that was the scariest thing I ever did. He said, I want you to do something again. So Dar called me up and said, we need to come up with a new idea. And at that point, I said, come up to the shop up in Minneapolis and we'll build something. And this is the device that we made. It was kind of unique, the way that it worked. Basically, this drum had the wheel, had the cable wrapped around it. And as this wheel was turning, or the drum was turning, it would go through this gearbox through a chain, and the gearbox would turn very slow, the shaft in this. And as that was turning, it would slowly put the brakes on. Well, the idea behind this was, if it was going to be a 300-foot jump, we would lay out the 300 feet cable, set this gear at the right angle, and so when we get down to the last 50, 75 feet, this brake would come into effect. It would stop him before he'd hit the ground. Well, the stunt we were going to do was back at the CN Tower. The building there was shaped very different, and it was a tower, but it was also like a vortex on the side. So when the wind would hit that tower, it would go faster and faster and faster because of the V shape. So consequently, we ended up taking some balloons, putting water in them, threw them over the side, and they were hitting at all different heights because of that wind. The wind was very variable. So we found out we wouldn't dare use this particular part of this here and the Decender, so we decided to put backup brakes. And at the time, because of the way the building was shaped, I could not see where Dar was at because it was curved underneath. So we came up with this idea of Gary Ben's hand, looking over the side, watch the cable, and if the cable started pulling in towards to hit the building, he would scream Ky, and at that time we put this backup brake setup, and we just slowly come on with the brakes. Now if I came on too hard, I would snap that cable just like a fish line. So Dar's life was in my hands. It was pretty. I'll never forget that particular stunt. It's a unique piece of equipment. It's been used in many, many movies and films since that date. But I'm glad that we have this back in the Rocket Man Museum for others to enjoy to see.